Okay, right. Afternoon.
Hello, I'm
Yeah,
back seeing you in a television screen on a
I know.
post.
Yeah, we were in person at the weekend, which was good. Which
It
was
was.
good. Yeah, it was good. Oh, I think you've frozen now. Oh no.
Oh, there
Oh,
we
there we
go.
go. We're on. We're on. We're on.
We didn't
As
have no.
usual, it's not going to go smoothly, is it? Come on, let's face it.
No, we were standing next to each other, and things still didn't go
Go
smoothly.
right.
I
Yeah,
understand. One of my clients fell over, Stuart.
they did fall over. Yes, they did fall over, and it was quite dramatic as well. It was a good one.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a good one. It
I
was a good
taught
one.
her this morning. She was laughing about it.
That's all right then. That's all right then.
But
But yeah,
we kind of got I got talking with them as to what they all the feedback was lovely,
good.
and so that was really nice, and it was really nice to work together, and
Yeah,
the
it's
feedback
good.
was really lovely in that everyone said that they had a nice day.
Yeah, perfect. And that's all that matters, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
At the end of the
definitely,
day.
definitely. If you take something out of it and you've had a nice day, then. But we were kind of chatting about what constitutes a nice day, apart from the
Yeah,
amount of cake you got.
yeah. I was going to say the amount of cake and coffee you can get in one day. That's probably the best part of it. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, what constitutes a good day? A good training day or a good event or that sort of thing. Um, and I suppose it'll differ for a lot of people. It depends on what they are looking for their dog, for themselves. You know, different things. But
Yeah, I
I
think from a trainer point of view is seeing progression. So I was doing an
absolutely,
A-frame sequence,
yeah,
and there were several dogs there whose A-frame criteria got deeper and deeper during the
yeah,
session, and that
perfect.
for me spoke loads. And then the clients and being enthusiastic, and the clients seeing that as
Yeah,
well.
I think progress, and there has to be success at the end of it. I think we have to, and success doesn't mean that they've necessarily nailed what you've set up exactly. It just means that they have to have had some success in what they're trying to achieve. I think. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, not necessarily finishing the whole thing, but knowing that they've made some progress and some success through the day. I think is
And I think that's down to the trainer, isn't it? If you see somebody, if you set a course, but I wanted to run your sequence, but I just didn't get a chance. So, but if you see a sequence that's 1 to 10, and somebody in that group is struggling 1 to 5, you're not then going to push them on to
no,
10.
no, which I had the same discussion at the weekend actually with a couple of with the groups that we were there, and I said if dog number one doesn't get past number 4, that's fine. If dog number 4 gets to number 11, that's fine too. It doesn't really matter, as long as everybody gets what they need at the time. I think
Yeah,
that's the difference. Some dogs
it's
will,
human nature to compare yourself, isn't it?
yeah, and some dogs will progress faster and earlier than others. Obviously, same as people. People pick it up quicker, and that's fine. But yeah, and sometimes I feel that I suppose the comparison is always there, isn't it? On when you go to, even from a trainer's point of view, when I go on training days and training events and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes I compare what I do on my workshops to what I'm receiving on that workshop.
Do you know
Um,
what? I was saying that I came away on Saturday and I wanted to train on our workshop.
yeah,
I was like, I want to train that. I thought that we would do such a good job because we
yeah,
both had the venue had like one each end, which
yeah,
was great for young dogs, wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
And then all I could hear was the sound of laughter and happiness, and I
Exactly.
was
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
that's the venue that I would want to train my dog at. And
Yeah.
everybody said to me, are we going to do another one? And I said, yeah, we've got to get our diaries together. And it was
Yeah.
a long way to come, wasn't it? So
That's all right. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. The journey home was harder than the journey there, but only by 20 minutes. It wasn't.
we didn't plough you with enough sugar then.
No, no, it's fine. But yeah, going to, like you say, when we're on these training events, I look at certain, when I'm training sometimes, I go, I wish, I was, like you said, I wish I was on this event as well, instead of teaching it. But sometimes we do compare, and some training events are maybe slightly tougher than ours, or a little bit more challenging than ours that we did.
Yeah.
Maybe some people would come onto ours and think ours are a little bit more simple than they wanted, or a little bit more easier.
Again, it is, but yeah, and I don't know how you determine easy, but it's teaching who's in front of you, isn't it? But I've got the same problem, because I'd really like to book Nairobi in to some camps next year. I'd love to do some camps, but I'm slightly nervous in my definitions. She's still a young dog, and you see lots of advertisements of young dogs, but some would determine that she's not a young dog because she's 18 months soon, she's out competing. But I tend to train my dogs for the events that they're going to go for.
And I agree.
I like steeplechases. I like beginner steeplechases, and I also like to teach young dogs to drive forward. And I don't get too hung up on, she's got basic jump skills, but I don't get too hung up on jump skills or anything like that. And certainly not at speed, because when she goes out, I kind of want it to be quite simple. But what do you do with your young dogs?
Yeah, I'm pretty similar, to be honest. I always try and look at about what in the lower levels, let's say the grade, if we go with grade 1, 2 and 3, I know it's a younger dog thing, but if we look at the lower levels as well, what are you really going to come across on an average course? It's
surprising.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a whole different story, isn't it, at the moment? But generally we're looking at straight line drive. We're looking at commitment to obstacles. Not really, I wouldn't be looking for anything sort of too many tight turns or hard slices or anything. It would just be almost flat out running, just keeping them moving and making sure they get good ring experience without having to think too hard. Because especially when they're young dogs, they're going into the ring first time, they're going to need to know how, they're going to need to feel confident, not worried or overthinking. So for me, training young dogs it should be, anyway, I think, in my opinion, it should be about drive, commitment, and confidence. That's basically
confidence is a big one, isn't it? And that's not, I believe, coming from the horse world, that's not over facing our young dogs.
So it has to be slightly challenging, but it also has to have some an element of simplicity to it, so that they can cope with what's going on.
If when I think you were the same, I trained system when I very first started out in agility, and I was taught to train grid work. That came through from the horses. I train a lot of snakes because it teaches the dog to follow the arm direction while your feet are going in an opposite direction. A little bit of shake around a jump, etc. And as you say, drive and commitment. But I see lots of people, and I've been asked this myself, like, what do you do on your foundation days? Well, that's exactly what I would do. I would do grid work. I would do snake works, teaching the dog to bend on a circle and that type of thing, and some very basic jump skills. And that's predominantly for a young dog, whether that's, I guess maybe it's changing the word young to inexperienced.
I think that's the other part, isn't it? You see these puppy young dog camps, and then I look at it going, well, maybe let's say you've got yourself a rescue dog that's 1 or 2 years old already, and you've only just got them home or whatever, and you want to get into a bit of training, etc. And then you're looking at the adverts and you go, well, puppy young dog, it's not really a puppy, it's not really a young dog. I haven't even got any experience yet. So where do I fit in? What do I do here?
Where do you fit in as a handler? So I've trained a pet dog group before now, where I've said to them, for the first 6 weeks foundation, it's become obvious that they haven't got recall, they haven't got start line weight, the dog's not thinking work, the dog's thinking there's other dogs around, and I spent a whole 6 weeks doing some basic obedience and recall and a little bit of tunnel drive and that sort of thing, and a reward system. Where were we without a reward system? I remember my first dog, I never had a reward system because he wouldn't tug. And I actually went to, Greg Derrick used to do a reward and reinforcement day, and it was fantastic. It was one of the best things. It was a game changer for me. It was like, oh, bloody hell, I need a reward system for my dog. So I guess it also depends, when we're looking at young dogs, the level of person.
The person, I suppose, as well. And then I think there's also an expectation. Like, let's say if we turn up at a workshop for whatever reason with our young dogs, I believe there would be an expectation that our young dogs would be further ahead than somebody else's young dog. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I have apologized for not doing very much with my dog. I turn up and there's been other young dogs and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm sorry, I haven't done that yet, and I'm willing to train certain things. I'm so lucky in the fact that I've always been to trainers that have said to me, that's okay, we can do it like this way.
This way.
Yeah, definitely. And equally, if I've said I don't want to do that with my young dog, everybody that I've always spoken to have said that's okay too. But what would happen if you were somebody that hadn't had a camp before? It was your first agility dog and you saw a young dog puppy workshop and it was, I don't know anyone that would do this, but say for instance the jumps were on small and your dog was 6 months old and you paid somebody to do that, they wouldn't know any different, would they?
No. I suppose then it's down to us as trainers, isn't it, to make that decision.
And I've never seen that.
And so I think most people would, most trainers that are out there now are professional enough to know what and when to do things. But I also think that there is I think there's now an expectation for things to be slightly harder. I think slightly more challenging.
Does that not put pressure on people though?
I think so, but there's already. I mean, we've had this discussion before. There's a huge amount of pressure on people in agility at the moment, even at the lower levels. I believe huge amounts of pressure. I mean, I get it with some of my clients and workshops that we do and go on. People are thinking that they should be doing this stuff and thinking that they should be here at this stage by now, and when you tell them that it's okay not to be, that you can see them sort of almost go, wow. I had somebody the other day, actually. I was doing a workshop the other day and we were talking about start lines and just going in the ring for the first time or whatever that was. And I said to them before, I have got up to the ring rope, like to go into the ring or whatever, and I've walked away before going, I'm not going to do this. I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel like it. It wasn't the course for me or whatever. And they were like, they almost fell off their chair going, I can't believe somebody of your level would be willing to walk away. And I was like, well, it doesn't really matter whether you want to do the course or not. What matters is that I'm enjoying what I do, and if I've already got to that start line not enjoying it, then going in the ring is going to just make that even worse.
We were having a discussion on Saturday when I did my show preparation and mindset chat. We were talking that people couldn't, when I do or when we do a high event, yes, they could understand, that they get nerves, but they couldn't get the gist that we still get nervous and still, we are only human and we still have to prepare ourselves, and sometimes preparation is no preparation type thing,
and then again, the expectation from us as trainers to, like you say, to be to push all the time, if that makes sense. We should.
It's hard.
It's almost like people believe that we should be doing the next thing, the next thing all the time.
Or is that us? I don't know. I said to my lot, I'm going to do a games workshop because I love games, and I would love.
I don't see many anymore, though, do we?
No, unless you do the UKA ones, you don't get them. And I would love to see games coming back into Kennel Club. And at the time, I remember when I first came out, I didn't like games. I couldn't get my head around them and everything. Right. But then I learned to embrace that actually there's so much that games teach you, and it puts the fun back in.
Yeah. It's an extra challenge as well, isn't it? It's an extra challenge. It's something different. And like you say, a different skill. The only thing is that for me with games, I always struggle with, probably going off topic completely, but I always struggle a little bit with beginners and gamblers, because I almost feel it gives the beginners a license to run around and do whatever they feel like doing.
I think if you're going to do it,
dogs and handlers in the wrong places, on the wrong lines, almost dangerous sometimes for certain pieces of equipment.
I think
where they're not experienced enough to deal with that.
But if you do it on a workshop, then you can explain that, so I very often in my, not real beginners, but if I'm just people that are just beginning to sequence contacts, I I don't do it to trick them, but I'll set up something that I feel is a dangerous line onto the contact, and we'll talk about lines onto a contact, and then I'll just tweak the jump so that they're not running it, and then they can see the difference, like that. So I quite often do that. So I guess you could do, as you say, we've gone off topic completely, but again, no, I guess we haven't, because we were still talking about workshops, but you can tweak it to who is in you, but it's very difficult when you've got a young dog or an inexperienced dog coming out to know what you should be doing. Or there isn't a should, is there?
No, I mean, and ultimately it's down to the instructor or the trainer or whatever that you've booked on to train with, to lead you, I suppose, in where you should and shouldn't be going at that point.
What's one thing that you would never teach your so you've got a dog coming out next year, you're in my situation, so Nairobi's nearly 18 months, I've got something that I've not taught my dog on purpose. What's the one thing that you wouldn't teach your dog?
Haven't taught your dog on purpose. You haven't taught your dog up by 18 months.
Bearing in mind the sort of shows that I go to and what I'm likely to be chasing next year potentially.
The one thing I don't do a lot of for my young dogs is I don't do a lot of turning away from me. So things like threadle wraps, backside wraps, those sort of things on jumps. And I very rarely do slices, backside slices, up until they're a little bit older. Simply from a physical point of view, I just don't,
No,
but then it's dog dependent as well. Some dogs can handle different things earlier, understanding things earlier. But I always, like I say, I always try and get the things that I would more likely be coming across.
And that's why with Nairobi, because I generally go after beginner steeplechase, I don't know whether I am next year or not, because I don't know where the shows are going to be, because we're waiting for the organisation. But I would never teach her to pull up a tunnel.
No, I agree. I
want my dog to plough forwards and go straight line into a tunnel when I can't get there. Simple as that. So I guess we're preparing, and maybe other trainers do this as well, if they're not interested in that type of thing, they may go sort of want to go up to the grades and get the dog up to the grades as quickly as they can. So they're going to be doing more jump skills and that sort of thing.
I mean, I do with my young dogs, I still play around with certain things. I want them to be confident when we get to do certain things. So there's certain sort of groundwork that we would do to help them out with things that they're going to
So if we do a camp next year, or if we do a training day next year, maybe we need to think about calling it an inexperienced dog.
An inexperienced. It's the level, isn't it? I think it's the level isn't it? It's not necessarily the age of the dog, it's the experience that the dog's had or not had. And then it's also got to be, you've got to think about the dog, not the handler as well, because if I booked onto a young dog workshop with my young dog, I think, I maybe imagining it, but I would expect that the trainer on there would already have an expectation about what I'm going to do compared to somebody else that signed up that hasn't done before.
I think it's hard training other trainers sometimes.
Definitely. Definitely.
I do think I can't imagine training Barry James. I just can't.
No, I agree. There's certain.
And that's just the first person that came into my head, because I was gutted because Lucy's got a space and I can't get down there. But that was the first person.
Training somebody else, it's almost like you just go, well, you do what you normally do and we'll deal with that. I also think that we'd have some really good input on that, because we can stand back and look, and I think you'd find it after 5 or 10 minutes, you'd go, okay.
I'm sure I would. I'm sure I absolutely would.
And you'd be able to point out, and it might only be the sort of micro tiny things that you notice that they might not have even.
They make such a difference, though, don't they?
Something that they might not have even noticed, and it might be just a foot placement, a verbal cue timing, whatever that is. You can notice something the dog's doing that they haven't noticed. I think when you do train other trainers, eventually after 5 or 10 minutes,
and I have trained other trainers, and I don't have that problem. But it's often thinking, right, okay, what do they do, and but as you say, it's hard to categorize when I'm excited about going to a camp with her, but I need to I haven't seen everybody's dates yet. There's not very many dates coming forward at the moment.
There's not much coming out for next year, is there? I mean, at the moment, but I mean, it's still early, but it's November. We're almost the end of the year already. But
yeah, come on.
Yeah, let's get something in the diary.
Skip over winter and Christmas.
Yeah, let's get something in the diary as soon as we can. But yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate at the moment, obviously, because I haven't got a young dog or anything anymore, so I don't have to worry too much at the moment.
No, I'm excited. I am excited about her coming out, and got to go and get her measured. Trying to find her measured.
Yeah, I know, that's the other part. Now you've got to find the measurements and
all that malarkey. So
yeah. Finding the shows got them on. But yeah, so as far as our weekend goes, it was a good weekend, good day. I think
it was lovely to see you, Stuart. Yeah, lovely to work together.
And it was nice just to have that, like I say, a little bit of I think less pressure for everybody, and just to enjoy the day, and like you say, enjoy.
And the geese were funny.
The geese, yeah, the guard geese.
I was tempted to train them
people out their car.
Who needs dogs when you've got geese? You can't come out. Yeah. People that think that weren't there on Saturday are going to think we're going to start raving nutters.
Guard geese.
Garden geese, yeah. Right, lovely.
Perfect. So yeah, I think that was a good one. Yeah, perfect. Good one. That was good. Enjoyed it. Perfect.
Excellent. So, we'll come up with another date soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll make sure we get some workshops out there soon.
Maybe we need a venue between you and me.
Yeah, we need to look at something in the middle, don't we? I'm just trying to think where that would be. But
no, I have no idea. What did you do? M25?
No, I did M40, M25.
Yeah, so it'd be something on the M40, Reading.
Yeah, maybe. We'd have to have a look.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. All right then, my
lovely.
Right. Lovely to see you. Take care.
See you soon.
Bye.